Hey all, I hope you're being smart and I hope you're being safe as we dive today into part 4 of my Transformers collection showcase. Part 1 showed off a secondary display here in my home. Part 2 showed off kind of some extra characters that I have, some that are replacements and some that have been replaced, as well as some odds and ends. Part 3 looked at the lowest 3 shelves of the main display behind me that you guys are used to kind of seeing here in the intros and outros. And today in part 4, we're going to do the next 3 shelves, consisting largely of Season 1 and Season 2 Autobots, as well as a couple of Decepticon combiners, a couple of Decepticon Target Masters, and we might even throw in a Beast Wars offering or two in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, that's right, baby. Please hit that notification bell. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Everything from reviews to countdowns to stop motions to the live show on Thursday night. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, and the Autobot family. Have a look for me everywhere across social media. All of those links are in the description. And we're going to do the next 3 shelves. I already told you basically what is on them. Before we do that, I just want to mention that in part 3, I neglected to point out, though they were shown, I neglected to point out 2 copies of Generations Scourge, who serve as my sweeps to flank my Titans Return Scourge, and I neglected to point out the Titans Return Blitzwing, who stands with Octone, or Octane if you will, and Titans Return Astrotrain as my Decepticon triple changers. Will I forget anyone this time that I'll have to make up for next time? Well, you know what? Let's find out when we look at the next 3 shelves. Let's head over to the shelving unit and take a look at some of these bots. And so as we embark on the second tier of shelving, we don't actually have one of those like extra, I don't know what we call it, trays that gives us like an extra level, because we actually introduce a few combiners this time. So starting down on this side, as per usual, we begin with the terrible Transformers Prime Arachnid. Cool helicopter. Awful robot mode. Behind her we have the Jada Toys Optimus Prime, the G1 version. Behind them we have Combiner Wars Menasor. And I'll just move her out of it so that we'll be able to see the Jada Optimus a bit better, because I leave him in package. We have Combiner Wars Menasor. A lot of people don't like the guy. I get it. I've done a ton of work to make Motormaster acceptable. I never really had a problem so much with the thighs, the hips, whatever you want to call it. I mean, yeah, okay, they're far from perfect. It's a weird torso mode, but like, I make do with it. Would I like to have a better one? Sure. Would I like for Toy World to actually unveil the one that they were planning that would be a bit bigger but compatible with these limbs? Sure. Do I need it? I don't know. We have Misfire and Trigger Happy there. Thankfully, both of, Misfire and Aimless there. Thankfully, both of them. Now you can see that Optimus. We also have Trigger Happy and Blowpipe, not just his head, but his little partner. We have Slug Slinger and Caliburst, his little partner. So I'm very thankful to have those Target Masters with their partners, besides for the double Target Master that is Spinister that we saw a bit earlier. Behind Trigger Happy, we have the Voyager class Double Dealer, and like a lot of people again don't like that mold. I didn't mind it as Blitzwing. I don't mind it as Double Dealer. Is the new one more impressive? Yeah, no doubt. But was this one fine? It was for me, because I'm really not that invested in the character. Behind Slug Slinger, we have my custom Thunderwing, who basically uses the body of Nitro Zeus. and the little Titan Master that came in one of those Titans Return box sets. This was the perfect body for him with some custom work. Behind him, we have my custom Combiner Wars Bruticus. My favorite combiner is Bruticus. Again, he needed some TLC, but generally I thought he was one of the best done combiners from the Combiner Wars line. A lot of people wish that the combiners were bigger or want things like Titan combiners. No, I don't want Titan combiners. They're not the size of Metroplex and Trypticon and Scorponok. Like, to me, this was a good size. It's not for everyone, and it depends on your collecting tastes, naturally. But I never had a problem with this. I don't, like, plus I don't have an interest in spending like $500 or $600, man, on a combiner. It's not for me, man. Not for me. We also have Deluxe Class G-Axis, very much overlooked and probably not the best coloration for him, but like, I dig it, and it was sort of an excuse to get that mold because I really wasn't in for the Armada Starscream, so this was the version of it that I was happy to get. Was not widely available here, but Starscream Wife managed to find him for me. Right down front we have Quillfire, kind of short and stumpy, but he's fun. Then we have Punch, Counterpunch. I was so happy when that guy came out. I wanted that character, or those characters, so to speak, so bad. And I was so happy when this guy was announced. Is he perfect? No. Did I have a story with him? Yes, because mine came with a factory error. He was missing a tire. Luckily, thanks to a good friend of the channel, Matthew, I was able to source another tire. I did not have any luck going through Hasbro's customer service. It was beyond useless. Then we have Generation Skullgrin, who's pretty great. And then we have Orthea, or Alita Infinite, if you want to call her that, but the official name with all of the proper limbs is Orthea. I know that a lot of people detest this combiner. They detest the treatment that, like, the female Autobot resistance was given. But you know what? Like, if there was ever a group that made sense to be an extra Autobot combiner, I think this is it. And honestly, I don't mind the molds. I know it's the same mold for the four limbs, but I like the symmetry. I really don't have an issue with it at all. Plus, how many years have we been waiting for some representation of these characters? There's been a couple of third party, even a couple of like exclusive Elitas. None of them have really hit on the mark perfectly, but honestly, I never would have guessed 5-6 years ago that we would have had all of these characters get an update. I love that we live in an age where they have been given an update. So that's it for that shelf. Next one, please. And here's another example of when we move from one shelf to the next. We go from Decepticons to Autobots, although the last shelf kind of had a mix of both. This one is completely Autobots, mostly from season 1, but not exclusively. Of course, we begin over on the usual side that we start with, over here, with my custom Breakaway or Getaway, whichever name you prefer. I did paint him to look more like his G1 character model, like, suppose. It's not perfect, but I think it's better than like the stark bland white that he was. I wasn't even originally going to get him. I sort of got him like after the fact, but like I dig him. It's a nice mold. I'm cool with it. I think he should have had more paint, more color, more akin to this, but that's just me. Next to him we have my custom Classics Universe Smokescreen, who I actually do plan to update with the Earthrise Smokescreen. He is one that I really like, I enjoy. I did not think that the Siege was an effective replacement, not for my collecting taste, but I do think the Earthrise one absolutely positively is. I hope that they use that to also make Prowl and Blue Streak. For now, it's my classics, but my plan is to at least update Smokescreen with the new Earthrise mold. We'll see. Then we have, kind of in the back, we sort of have Classics Inferno. I figure he will possibly become Smolder or Artfire, something like that, eventually, because I assume we're going to get like an Earthrise Inferno at some point. In front of him we have Solar Storm Grapple, who I now use as Holler. Now, before you get kind of your panties in a knot, so to speak, and say, hey, he's supposed to be green, that was an e-hobby thing that kind of retconned him as part of the Constructicons, blah, blah, blah. By rights, his first character, his first animation, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, was in that first episode of the cartoon, and he was, you guessed it, an orange color. Now, a lot of people have said, and I agree, that really what that was Grapple, and he was named incorrectly as Holler. I agree with you 100%. But I love this mold so much that I'm cool with kind of just revisioning it as the character of Holler, since of course we do have a new Grapple. We'll get over to him in a minute. In front of Holler slash Grapple, we have Combiner Wars, Trailbreaker. I didn't get the Generations one, and I really didn't have a Trailbreaker. So when this guy came out, I was like, you know what? He's not perfect, but I like that his hand is a blaster. The head sculpt looks pretty spot on. I'm going to get him. But I was never really happy with him. I did do some custom work on him just to make him passable, but I can guarantee you 100% he's going to be replaced by Earthrise, Trailbreaker, Trail Cutter, whatever they want to call him. Next to him, we have, of course, Siege, Ironhide, pretty much perfect. I wasn't in for him at first, but man, pretty much perfect. I love the mold. In fact, I got it again as Ratchet behind him. A ton of custom work done on Ratchet to make him look more like his G1 animation model. Love it. Then we have Earthrise Grapple, sleeper hit of Wave 1. I think he's pretty close on perfect. Now, some people have, mentioned how those pegs on the back crack off. If you wiggle them, they're going to break off. You're not supposed to wiggle them. They are to be pushed into their slots straight on and pulled out straight on. In the review of Grapple, I show what I do to put them in place and take them out. I will tell you now, I've done it dozens upon dozens of times. Largely to try and kind of like loosen up the tolerance a little bit. I haven't so much as got a stress mark. It's all in how you do it. If you wiggle it, you are definitely going to break it. In front of him, we have Classics Prowl. Again, same reason as before. I didn't personally prefer the Siege. We'll see if Earthrise does something, but for now, the Classics Prowl will stay. Next to him is Reveal the Shield Jazz. I got Jazz thrifting for $3. Actually, that's a bit of a lie. I got him in a bag with a Bumblebee, a different Bumblebee, that has since gotten sold, I believe, or maybe it was one of the Bumblebees I showed earlier on in this collection tour. It was a movie Bumblebee, and the Dark of the Moon Barricade were in the same bag as this guy. The whole bag was $3, so technically I got this Jazz for $1. Because I had previously broken a Fall of Cybertron Jazz, I had a spare Jazz blaster, so I just gave it to this guy, and it actually fits up under his hood. Fantastic. Next to him, we have the triplets. We'll call them the triplets, I suppose, of Sideswipe, Red Alert with a custom painted red head, and Sunstreaker. Love all these guys. Now, I do again honestly believe that I'm going to be upgrading, whatever you want to call it, Sunstreaker. I didn't do it with Red Alert, and I didn't do it with Sideswipe because the Siege, again, just didn't hit it on the mark for me. If you want to do something that's a little more akin to their traditional Earth mode, using that Siege tooling, maybe. And I know that you can get stickers or whatever to make the Siege look more like the Earth mode, but that's still not quite doing it for me personally. To each their own, man. But in behind there, lastly, kind of down low here, we have Ectotron. Great Voyager, but the knees could be a little bit better. But he's fun. He's quirky for what it is. I love the alt mode of that Ecto one. You really need to sort of like that Onslaught, Hotspot, Inferno mold if you're going to have an appreciation for Ectotron. If you don't like those molds, you're not going to like Ectotron. As we move up from there, we of course come to one of those, I don't know what we'll call it, units, shelves, I don't know. And when we go in closer on that, we have the Earthrise Wheeljack. Love him. Is he perfect? Maybe not for everyone, but I think he's fantastic. There's been a lot of people that have 3D printed extra little wing bits for him. If you want to, hey, go for it. We have from the earlier I showed that we have the Masterpiece Bumblebee. We got it for $30 Canadian, so it was hard to pass it up for $30 Canadian. that came with, of course, Exosuit Spike, and I was able to add Spike to my collection, and the Bumblebee went to the Scraplet and his collection because he only cared about Bumblebee anyway. I cared about Spike. I painted some eyes on Spike. That was rough. We have Hubcap there by way of Hot Soldiers. We have kind of way down in behind here, we have Hot Soldiers Cliff Jumper. I like that as my Cliff Jumper because it embodies the animation really well. We have the KBB Hornets Agent as Bumblebee, pretty much a perfect Bumblebee. Classics Hound is still my Hound. Siege Mirage, I like Siege Mirage. He was not at all plentiful around here. I only saw him a couple of times, not plentiful at all, unfortunately, but he is fantastic. If you never got him before, though the coloration is weird, you might want to go for the War for Cybertron Netflix one because it's a great mold, or at least I think it is. I really enjoy it. And we have my custom Nightbeat in behind. It has the Titan Master Nightbeat. I made a custom, what do you call it, port to put the Titan Master in, and affixed it to the deluxe class body of Nightbeat a long time ago. It was a bit of it was a risk. It was a bit of an invasive custom, but the end result made me really happy. So that's it for that shelf. We have one more to do in this row, and then we move up again. And our next shelf is a continuation of Autobots. We have Blast Wave down there on the far end. In front we have Generation Scoop with his two Target Masters. I can't remember their names now. I know they were given names. Hole Punch, and I think one was called Caliburst, but I think his actual name is Tracer. I think it's Hole Punch and Tracer. We have behind him my Voyager FOC, my custom Voyager FOC blaster. A lot of people want a new blaster. I'm kind of cool with this one. I like this blaster. But he did need to have some custom work done on him to kind of better embody the character, in my opinion. We have Rewind down there. I wish we got Eject too, man. That would have been great. If I could get another one of those, I'd gladly paint it into Eject. I really thought that we would one day get that. We have the little, I don't even remember the little line dude's name. Honestly, I don't remember his name. We have a third use of that Ironhide mold, that being Target Master Crosshairs. I'd love to have the rest of the Autobot Target Masters. The third member of the Alpha Strike Squadron stands in, who is Trenchfoot, stands in as his Target Master. And that works for me. I'm cool with that. Behind him we have Earthrise Hoist, who's fantastic. I mean, I like the Generations one fine, but after having this guy in hand, despite his hollowness, he's beautiful, man. Then we have Generations Trax. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets an update soon. There's been a lot of rumors about him being a reuse of the Wheeljack mold. I could see it. Behind him is a third-party, really Voyager-sized version of Doc that came with Wei Jiang's Ultima Guard. Fantastic Doc, by the way, highly articulated. No alt mode, but he didn't have alt mode in the original animation, so I let it pass. Then we dive into Beast Wars a little bit with the one who does everything for the royalty, that of course being Inferno. Not the fire truck we all know and love, but the fire ant in this case. I've done some custom work on him. He's great. So solid. Feels so good. One of my favorites, actually. As we move over, we have the Last Night Hound, who I actually use as my version of Bulkhead, because he really has that Bulkhead look to him. Then we have, down front, we have the Jump Starters, that being, give me a minute, Top Spin is, yeah, the blue lad, and the other one is Twin Twist. There you go. There you go. Alpha Trion in behind there. He gets a lot of flack. A lot of people don't like him. Titan's Return. Windblade. I didn't say the name of all their Titan Masters, by the way. You know that anything from Titan's Return had the head that's a Titan Master. Like Windblade's is, I think, Scorchfire. Cool name. She has some Toy Hacks labels on her. If we move up and kind of zero in a bit here, You'll see that we have Generation Skids, we have Stormshot, and behind there, Generations Warpath. I still think probably the perfect Warpath. Age of Extinction Drift, I already mentioned that he'll probably go replaced, and we have Beast Wars. Oh, we have well, not really Beast Wars, we have Generations, but it's a Beast Wars character. Rat Trap is also in there, kind of stuck in behind. And there you have part 4. In part 5 next time, we're going to kind of dive in and look at a bunch of things. We'll touch on some offerings coming out of Japan. We'll touch on a lot of Autobot leaders and a couple of Decepticon ones, a couple of customs along the way. We might even touch on Cybertron itself, as well as potentially some Beast Wars iterations of some characters. The collection starts to get a little more eclectic the further up we go. Anyway, for now, let me know what you think of everything that has been shown so far in parts 1 through 4. You know I love to hear from you guys. I appreciate you coming by. Give me a little bit of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. Please, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there is a donate link down in the description. Don't forget, somehow, some way, each and every day, you do make a difference. And I look forward, man, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.